Call.
Mayor Truman,
Here.
Councilmember Colbert,
Here.
Councilmember Wilson,
Here.
Councilmember Anderson, Councilmember Gregory,
Here.
Councilmember Kristetter,
Here.
Councilmember Evans, Councilmember Stan.
Okay, budget presentation workshop. Who starts this, baby?
All right.
Where's Rodney? Oh, wait.
So Rodney's currently busy, so I will go ahead and take over the public works slides. Boom. As you can see here, this is our beautiful water tower. And this is one of our front end loaders filling one of our dump trucks. We've been clearing the site for the new water treatment plant. And so that's been a lot of what we've been focusing on, last year and then rolling into this year, is really clearing the old brush pile site of all of the material that we've stored there for the last 30 years. And so moving that to the new location that's located just north of Porta Cutting Systems. And then, so the water treatment plant that I'll get into here in a little bit, that will be the location of it, just to the north west of the water tower. And of course, our wastewater treatment plant is up there on the far left. I know we have a new member that will be sworn in here shortly, so welcome aboard. And so that is the aerial of our wastewater treatment plant, and of course, the water tower.
Careful where you're pointing that thing.
It's been a lovely day. 70 and sunny. The public works, first we're going to start on the street division side of things, where these are fun facts that a lot of people don't realize. But Valley Center roads, we have 392,810 feet, or 74.4 miles that we are responsible for maintaining. And so even in this nice small community, I mean, that's almost 74.4 miles of roads that our public works and our street division is responsible for. The pictures here, the one on your right is a mill and overlay that we did over off of, that looks like Sheridan Court. And so that area over there. And then up there on the left, of course, is the Meridian Avenue project, which I think did a fantastic job today handling the flash floods that we did receive. It took a little bit of time for the water to move, but it stayed, within the sidewalk and the curbs, and I mean, it stayed within the area that we wanted it to, and didn't flood any homes, and then did pass through really quickly, especially between Main and Fifth. It took a little longer between Main and Ramsey, but it all is connected, and Valley Center is flat. We're in the valley, and so a lot of that water that does flow through on the street side, that does we hold it underground in stormwater pipes, and then that can only handle so much. And so then when that volume meets its capacity, then that's why it starts flowing a little slowly flows down those storm drains into the system as the water that's in the pipe moves towards 4th Street and on south, and then gets pumped to the east into the lower ditch. Here for the 26-25 budget comparison. As you see, our 2026 requests, I'll kind of hit the highlights here, but I'm really, an increase in the salaries and benefits as normal. We're looking at, our employees to be eligible for up to 4% is kind of the average that we're going to be aiming towards as we move forward into next year. Of course, we do annual reviews and annual performance reviews, merit-based. So we do have a scoring matrix that we use that determines those. And then also, too, it kind of depends upon the department as well. So, it's kind of an average of that 4%. So, some scores that get in that 3 or 3.5, that leaves a little bit of room then if somebody gets maybe 4.5% or 5% that have really been outperforming, their duties and really, doing above and beyond their day-to-day work. Majority is the salaries like I talked about, and then looking at the contractual increases a little bit. Commodities with inflation, we did decrease the capital outlay just with projects we have upcoming, and then kept the miscellaneous. No worries. And as you see, which you don't see very often, I know, glad you're sitting down, is actually a decrease in the total requested for next year for 26 compared to what we have this year in 2025. So really tasked and challenged all the department directors, which most, met that challenge that we laid before them of trying to decrease their budget and really slim it up in this next year of 26 with a lot of unknowns that we're going to be experiencing. Any questions on the street department side? All right.
Dale.
Water division.
Dale.
That was very quick. On the capital outlays,
Missed it.
too bad.
Oh,
What is the capital outlay for? That's the only section that you is being decreased.
yeah. And so capital outlays is our mill and overlay
Okay.
areas, and so that really depends upon what we receive from the county. We had budgeted about $521,000 last year, and this year we're looking at a little less
Okay.
of actually what we're going to be receiving. And so then we just really prioritize the projects according to what the council wants when we do that mill and overlay RFP.
Okay.
And so this year we're able to decrease that just because with what funds we're anticipating we're going to be receiving from the county. Public Works, the water division. So 263,325 feet of total main. Amy, you had that one nailed down, right?
Yes, sir.
And so that's a lot of water main that we are responsible for, that we do maintain. One of the reasons why we're building a water treatment plant is because we take care of our own mains. We have our own infrastructure that we maintain. We just purchase water from Wichita. And so now we're trying to cut out the middleman of paying Wichita to for their treated water after we send them our raw water for 50 cents per 1,000 and buying it back for many, many more dollars. That's why we're building a water treatment plant right there. Is because the overall cost of the water department expenditures when it comes to salaries, commodities, contractual services, capital outlays, and just everything that you see here. When we have our own water treatment plant and we're in control of our own rates, it gives us much more flexibility when it comes to making decisions that are detrimental to our ratepayers and our customers. And so, of course, on the street side, general fund, right? So general fund property taxes. This side, so this one now, the water and sewer, this is our enterprise fund. So this is a separate kind of entity. Trying to make sure I explain that a lot of people don't realize it. That we have general fund, our property taxes, and then our utilities. That's our enterprise fund. That's two different entities basically functioning underneath of the city of Valley Center. In 25, our total was $2,365,027. This year we're looking at for 26 is $2,970,120. A lot of that is we're going to be purchasing a back and jetter truck with our capital outlay. And so we've gotten to a point where the trailer that we have, because we do have a small trailer, it has limited capabilities of what we need it for. And it will really cut down on what we do when it comes to pothole. So we can do our own potholes and then also line cleaning. And so we're able to take off, that $50,000 for line cleaning. We're going to leave a little bit in it so then we can camera until we buy a camera machine, because that service that we have with Mayor, typically that contract that we bid out, includes cameraing the lines as well. The jetter truck or the jetter truck that we're buying does not have a camera on it. So we will have to purchase one of those in future years. But so we'll split that purchase 75% water, and 25% sewer. And then the remaining debt will total $7,419 for payments per month. So we're going to put $150,000 down. We're going to go to Halstead Bank, our local bank here, and get a loan like we did with the street sweeper, and then make those payments. So then we're not hitting our entire reserve fund with that expenditure. We can spread over time. $250,000 one-time transfer of $250,000 to employee benefit is going to come out of the water department fund as well. We've really been depleted when it comes to our employee benefit fund as of late, with just a few claims that we've had being self-funded. There's pros and cons, and there's risks involved in that. And our policy, we just have really been hit hard the last couple of years with a few claims, and so we need to replenish that employee benefit instead of relying solely on that employee benefit mill levy. We do transfer some of those funds from the water department to the employee benefit fund. So we are recommending that. $200,000 an increase water purchases to Wichita due to the contractual agreements. It shouldn't be that much. That's just an estimate, but we wanted to be conservative in that estimate. We're negotiating what our take will be, and so we're going to decrease, of course, substantially what our take will be starting in 2027. It also opens up the contract negotiations from now until that point as well. And so we've already had meetings with the city of Wichita to discuss those water purchases. So that conservative number when it comes to that increase in water purchases. Any questions on the water department? Yes, Dale. Anybody? Moving right along. Sewer division. We have a total of 781 manholes. That's a nice fun fact that we should have in some scavenger hunt at some point in time. 181,417 total gravity main feet that we do have in the community. Just in case you don't know, what you see in the middle there, that's the SCADA system. So that's what helps run our wastewater treatment plant. And so we are continually increasing and improving on a regular basis that SCADA system. It does come with a fee, but also automation. Automation is a great thing when it comes to making sure our lift stations are all automated, and making sure that everything is communicating back to the plant as well as our employees. As you see, there are some lovely manholes. On the right side are some treasures that we get out of the system from time to time. And then on the left, there is the manhole itself. And so here is the comparison in the sewer department. So in 2025 was $1,561,240. And yes, that's not a typo. That is the correct for 2026 requested. We're requesting a reduction, $1,540,571 total. We are still increasing, of course, wages and benefits. The contractuals are going down. What I just mentioned with the sewer jetting, we're able to decrease some of those contractuals. Commodities increase price of goods. Fuel, everything's still high. Capital outlay projects, we increased that a little bit for our manhole replacement program. We still got to replace manholes. And then our underneath there, as you see, the increase in the one-time down payment for that jetter and vacuum truck that I mentioned. So it's just reflected here on the sewer department side as well. And all right. Here is our incredible public works department. Like all of our staff, we encourage everyone to get a picture, an updated picture this year. And so this is our current team of professionals that make sure that the citizens are taken care of, and the customers on a day-to-day basis. And they all do a great job. We do have a new water and wastewater level 4 operator, Matt Nichols. Yeah, Matt passed that recently, and so that is the permit and the level, or not permit, that's the level of operator license that we will need for our water treatment plants and our wastewater treatment plant. So we have an operator ready to go for our new water treatment plant on staff. So we always strongly encourage, even with trying to decrease budgets and streamline services, training is always a high priority. We need to make sure that we equip our folks with the best tools in their tool belts, and that we encourage them to go to trainings to learn the latest and greatest in technology to bring back and improve our processes here in the city of Valley Center. I'll stand for any questions that I may or may not be able to answer.
Dale?
Level 4, that's that the highest?
Yes.
That's easy.
And yes, one thing too that I don't know if we always have mentioned this or not, but when an employee gets a certificate or a new license or operator license or all those things, regardless of when that is throughout the year, we always reevaluate their wage at that time. We encourage that extra effort to get training, get their CDL license, to get their FBI training, so on and so forth. And so we always review that after they get their certificate, and then we can make wage adjustments according to our handbook, if you recall, when we passed and updated those things based upon the department head's recommendation that then comes to my desk and then gets processed, of course, with our city clerk and HR director. So we don't, just because you get a permit or your new license in February or March, you don't have to wait a whole calendar year till performance review to get an increase. So we wanted to make sure that you were aware of that as well. All right, I'll shut up since I probably took more time than they wanted.
Any questions? We move on.
All right, good evening, everybody. This is the community development staff there in the center. I'll just so everyone's aware. Esteban's on the left. He's a shared employee between community development and public works. He does code inspection for community development, and then for public works, he does locating and stormwater inspections. Brittany is in the middle. She's our assistant, and she's our main permit writer. Bill is our code enforcement officer as well, and he's our combo inspector, so he does residential and commercial inspections now. And then myself, and our department is overall permitting, inspections, code enforcement, planning and zoning, floodplain administration, economic development, housing incentive program, and Main Street Valley Center. I'm a liaison from the city with Main Street Valley Center. So just a few different things going on in our department. I just wanted to highlight some of the housing developments that are going on in Valley Center currently, which is keeping our department very busy. We have the picture on the left of the new construction homes. That is Prairie Lakes Phase 4. The dark home in the middle, it's a barn dominium. That's in Satara up on the hill. To the right, top right, is some of the new homes going in Arbor Valley. There are 14 homes currently being built there. Actually, there might be a few more that are really close to being completed, but 14 actively being constructed and inspected. The bottom right picture is an aerial view, and I apologize it's not bigger on the screen probably, but that's an aerial view of the dirt work occurring for Harvest Place, which is exciting. Of course, today I'm sure a lot more water would be in that picture if we took the picture today. And then I did not include a picture of Rio Bella, but dirt work has been going on. They have berms around the site, and if you are on West Street, you can see the new main drive into that development. So that's really neat to see happening. Normally, I looked at previous presentations. My predecessor generally gave you where we were at to date with permits, which I was like, that doesn't really show you what we did the previous year, because some of the previous year carries over into this year as well, because we're continuing to inspect permits that were issued last year. So in 2024, there was a total of 116 residential building permits issued. And the reason one side says residential, one side says single family, is the residential includes duplexes. So those aren't considered multifamily, but the way our system tracks them, it was just easier to say residential buildings. There's 116 issued last year. This year to date, we're at 28, and those are all just single family homes at this point. We have not issued anything but single family residences so far this year. And then just a couple more pictures I thought were cool. So again, I mentioned Bill is a combination inspector. He does residential and commercial inspections. So on the left is, again, some of those homes going up in Arbor Valley. And then on the right is an aerial view of the new elementary school. The school district shared that picture a couple weeks ago, and I stole it for my presentation. But it's really neat to see. And again, I know it's not super big, but the amount of inspections, all you see in the school district one so far is footings. The amount of times Bill has been out there, because they're doing the footings in so many phases. It's just really interesting to see how that site's being developed. And again, they haven't even gone vertical yet. Some of the budget highlights. One of the things that Clint and Brent and I have talked about for the next year is changing up how we do our local partnerships. Right now we have a Main Street line and then an economic development line. And so all the funding requests that come to the council come out the economic development line. It's great for the partnerships. It's great what we're doing for the community. But as we'll find out during council meeting tonight, a lot of those things eat away from the advertising budget. And we're supposed to be, we've had lots of discussion about marketing these housing developments and getting these houses to sell. And so we've discussed having a local partnership line item, $15,000, and that would be what we would divide up against those that come and request it from the city. And then having leaving the economic development resources line at $20,000 for advertising. And that can be more than just the housing developments. It can be general advertising of the community, but trying to keep it more at bringing people to Valley Center, getting people to come move here is the intention of having that line just for advertising. A couple items just to highlight that I would, I've talked to Brent and Clint about with, constraints of the budget, things that I would love to see in, but aren't making it in this year, but I'll keep asking for them. Having money to have matching funds for historic property inventory. Having property inventory can help with getting homes on state and national historic registers, which can make them eligible for tax credits when they're doing renovations. It can also help us if we wanted to have a district set up for historic district, whether we wanted a certain area of town to have incentives for rehabbing their homes and bringing back that historic charm. The other item is for inspection and code enforcement software. We are on very antiquated software, I think, as a city as a whole, maybe. I know my department is pretty antiquated. I was looking at YouTube, you guys using that a lot too, I think, so I'm not sure what your guys' opinion is of it, but it would be nice to have something that's a little more streamlined, but it's kind of one of those where we're operating as we are, so it's not a have to have, but it, kind of a big wish to kind of make things a little more efficient for our department. We're totaling, it looks like requesting about a $30,000 increase for our budget. And one of the biggest reason for that is, I don't know if any of you remember, but when Clint was doing his budget reports towards the end of last year, he had his happy faces and his, straight faces and his sad faces. And my department had a big sad face. Historically, the credit card transaction processing fees have not been budgeted for my department. So every year, every time we get charged for those, that zero in the budget is already overspent because we haven't budgeted for it. So we have just over $13,000, almost $14,000 included in my budget for next year just for credit card processing fees. It's not a small number, but we're doing a lot of development, and when people pay with credit card, we're paying the transaction fees. So that was included in my budget. As mentioned by Brent, we budget for 4% salary increase for next year and benefits expenses. And then just some other small increases, the expense of our phone system, travel, our department, because of all the things I mentioned that our department's responsible for, we have a lot of trainings, a lot of things that we have to be experts in. And so we need to continue our education. And then, that's really it. So total increase is just shy of $30,000 year over year. And I will stand for any questions that you might have.
Yeah.
On your local partnerships, excuse me, this is going to be our where the donation to the Fall Fest comes out of, and then Main Street, Valley Center, and then the Mud Daubers and historical museum, that's that.
That was
Line
the
item.
intent of this line.
Okay.
And I also we did, because it sounded like from our discussion with the funding that was already given to the Historical Society was that we'd like to include them in the budget process for next year. And so that's why we kind of wanted to make one line item for all of those things to come out of.
Okay. It'd be nice to know what we've, and I don't know if we're going to talk about it after 7, but like what we've done so far. Actually, that is what we're going to talk
I
about
can
later.
give you a rough idea, but I think
If we're going to talk about it later, that's fine. Okay. All right. Next question I had, for your just budget comparison slide. So that 15,000 that you're talking about for local partnerships, and then the 20,000 for economic development resources.
so. The 15,000 is in the contractuals
Okay.
category, and then the economic development is that other
So
miscellaneous.
In the contractuals category, it's got the local partnerships and your credit card fees.
Yep.
And that's the $20,000. Okay.
So there was already 10,000 in there for Main Street line. So the increase in that, the 13,000 and the extra 5, so there's like 18,000 roughly. That
Okay.
was
I just want to
Yeah.
make sure I'm understanding everything there. That's all I had.
I have a question. Looking out ahead, I looked at your little note you handed out. Does our PBS contribution, do we put that under advertising? Or is that just a donation? Because we do get advertising out of that.
so it does currently come out of our economic development fund, and I would presume it would come out of there again next year if we continue to have a sponsorship contract with them. Because yes, it is considered, I would consider it advertising, because they do produce a commercial usually for us, and we get spots on PBS.
Great question. That would be out of the $20,000 line item. Okay, correct.
Kyle, are you trying to chase down other leads on card processing? I know we have a great new relationship with Community Bank. Have we talked with them about card processing?
Clint, I think would be a better person to answer that question. I believe he has gotten us a better rate through our current processor already, but I'm not sure.
The city uses Encode by Tyler Technologies for pretty much all of our accounting, just about any type of function that we do as far as software is operating and stuff like that. Because of that, they kind of make us process inside of them through Chase Bank. I kind of threatened to leave last year, and I was able to get our rates down pretty substantially. But honestly, it's not expensive. We can still get back about the marketplace. But unless we choose to do a major restructuring, the Tyler Technologies, we're kind of handcuffed with what we have right now. We can't take advantage of it.
Sounds good. Thanks. Figured you guys had looked into it, so.
One more question on the advertisement. How would you break that down? Or how are you foresee breaking that $20,000 down?
As of right now,
Because like billboard is like what, $5,000 a month?
something
more?
like that. So it could be billboards, it could be targeted advertisements using social media. I think there's a good. I think we could try and do a good mix. Billboards would be more in your face and could be, but the ones that are real close to us have long-term contracts with the casinos or casino, and so there's a few that are near us that are good, but they're still expensive. But then,
And then if you get too far out, it's kind of pointless. So, okay,
so I think there's some really great options. I think there are a few billboards that they've shown me that are available that we could definitely try and do a longer term contract on. Which with the longer term we can get a discount, but it's still not like you're not cutting the rate in half by any means. You're
Right.
It's still going to be fairly expensive, but you can also get a lot of bang for your buck with social media or other online advertisements, you can find the right place to do it.
Okay.
Dina?
Are the developers or the realtors buying any advertising for what they're developing?
So there is, well, for instance, I've already been talking with some developers for like the fall home show. There is the WABA puts out a magazine for the Parade of Homes. And so there's a couple developers that have been talking with us about the city and the developers maybe putting an ad in together to advertise their homes and our incentive package, so that way they can show off their home or their development. But we can also advertise, hey, we have our housing incentive program or our special rebate program, so that people know that there's incentives in our community to purchase homes. But beyond that, no, I haven't had discussions with developers about specifically using billboards or things like that. Other than I guess Britt and I have talked about. Retract that. We've not necessarily talked about billboards on the highway, but we have talked about doing some advertisement locally with the developers as well. That just hasn't came to fruition yet as far as getting costs and things like that. So.
Any other questions? Thank you, Kyle. Yes. Moving on.
All right. Good evening, Mayor, members of council. Tonight, I'd like to begin by highlighting the services that we provide here, starting with our service description. The Department of Parks and Public Buildings is responsible for the management and maintenance of all the park properties, public buildings and facilities, municipal swimming pool, cemetery, and forestry operations. Currently, a crew of 5 full-time employees. One field supervisor, which is William. He's on the far right side, the gray beard. The 2 gentlemen in the middle of the screen there, and the one on the far left are my Parks and Public Buildings maintenance technicians, and of course my position there. So we proudly maintain 6 park properties, 4 public buildings, multiple small facilities and ancillary structures, 5-acre cemetery, 2 city fishing ponds, a swimming pool, 2 splash pads, and 2 landscapes currently at welcome signs, soon to be 3, all combined. Buildings, parks, and green space add up to about 72 total acres of properties to maintain. The list up there on your screen is a little hard to read, it's a little small, but that is kind of our bread and butter of what we do, what we spend our time doing out on the properties. And needless to say, we cover a lot of ground there, all the way from projects to clearing snow on sidewalks and parking lots, to memorial services. Cover the gamut on those types of things. So my crew's pretty new. Most of them have been here pretty much under 2 years, and some of them have only been here a couple of weeks. So I'm very proud of the crew I have. I'm very thankful to have them. They do a great job. Quality of life in Valley Center. Valley Center is very vested in providing high quality of life experiences. We have a strategic plan from the 2021 strategic plan. The 3 quality of life goals that we follow are to ensure that all residents have access to well-maintained bike and pedestrian pathways. The Meridian Project sums it up right there. I mean, we've got great. That's a great example of a project we just completed. The next one is to provide and maintain sufficient parks and green spaces for the community needs and increase quality of life. And last, to leave visitors and residents with a positive impression of Valley Center. Our goal is to implement actionable plans that support these 3 main objectives. And as evident in these pictures, as we look around Valley Center and our community, I believe we really do hit the mark there on meeting quality of life goals here in Valley Center. We're very proud of all these new projects and infrastructure that we've been adding in the community and hope to continue to serve in these areas. Future budget items. These are some things, again, kind of like Kyle mentioned in his budget. These are some things that I wanted to bring to your attention. They're not necessarily fundable at this time, but they're definitely need to be on our radar screen and make sure that you guys are aware of those things. Play equipment at McLaughlin and Lions is starting to age. It's hitting that time frame where we need to start thinking about replacing that equipment systematically as opposed to waiting until it's completely defunct and parts and things like that are not available for replacing it. Just sitting there with a bunch of caution tape around, the infrastructure. Each of those play equipment pieces. Some of the play equipment at Lions is pretty old, much older. Still in really good shape. The standalone pieces there, but the plastic structure, the combined structure there, that's about 23 years old. 25 years old. So. Hard and fast rule about exactly when to replace it. I have seen different types of weakness. I think it really depends on your community, the vandalism factor, the factor with getting parts and components availability still. So I think we're starting to enter into that range of where we need to start looking down the road in some of these play structures. But anyways, just wanted to bring it to your attention, not digging deep into it tonight, but it's something to keep on the radar. The other two items are the pavilion at Lions Park, which is probably at least, I don't know exact numbers on this, but I bet it's at least 40 plus years old, because I know it's been around the community for a long time, and the gazebo is not range. Placement, renovation, lots of discuss, budget discussions, and I just wanted to keep it on the radar when we talk about all these big ticket item projects, something in the back of our head when we're thinking about these things. Tonight, for budget highlights, we plan to continue operations as normal, but we do plan to shift some of our focus, as I kind of mentioned at one of the previous council meetings. We kind of plan to shift some of our focus toward additional contractual services. This came up when I was talking about the RFP and custodial services, and have staff work more on costly projects, things that are expensive for us to farm out, and have them shift focus to contracting out some less expensive things, like we've done with mowing here recently. We are authorizing 6 positions for the Parks and Public Buildings, and to offset some of the cost increase we have with our additional contractual services that we're recommending that we hold one position unfilled vacant to help offset that cost in our budget this year. We would maintain our five staff of 5 instead of the total authorized 6. So, again, contract mowing and custodial services would be the areas that we recommend additional cost increases at. And we believe that savings realized by not filling that position would not only offset the cost of the additional contractors, but would also be realized in employee benefits savings as well. Save a little bit there, not only my budget, but employee benefits. Some of our other budget highlights are we've got some scheduled HVAC replacements that we preferred last year. We need to look at scheduling this year. We've got a total of 5 units between City Hall and Lumber Community Center that are needing to be replaced, and those would be funded out of our equipment reserve fund. Something to highlight that doesn't affect the Parks and Public Building budget. It's handled through the alternative funding mechanism. So, and then lastly, the addition of some additional $3 and $3 line item. Lastly, the spreadsheet up there, the breakdown of budget, we're looking at about a $6,200 overall increase. And again, primarily hit the contractual services and, that would be just mainly where we're focusing is that increase there, include contract mowing and just the field services. Again, the side benefit reduction in staff helps lower the cost of adding those so that we keep our costs lower in the overall budget. Overall, we're not making a lot of new budget requests to keep the impact of the budget low. Rather focus on value added and efficiency in our department. Stand for any questions.
I guess I'll bring up the thorn in your side.
Go ahead.
I would like to see something set aside for future budget items, improvements to the cemetery. We've got to do something up there. Whether it's a kiosk or some area for just meditation, or what I'd really like to see is I don't know what they call that, a cremated memorial wall. So people don't have to buy a plot of ground, they can buy a sectional wall. Vault or whatever it's called. We've got to do something up there. It's just a pasture now. It's not, people are embarrassed. I mean, they're not embarrassed to go up there, but they'd like to see more something. We don't even flag up there yet. And I know the American Legion's working their butts off trying to get one up there, but it looks like it's a city cemetery. We ought to be doing something. That's my 2 cents. There you go.
I agree. I'll quickly respond to that. I think there's some desire to have something up there, because it's figuring out what that something is and what's important to the community to invest those dollars in. I know it's some of the cemetery, that same discussion has come up on a couple of occasions, but it's a matter of, it's been previous past, it's been a matter of where we prioritize and having other things out in front of it. So I think it's been on the list, if you will, as a priority. It's just not been at the top
I'd
of
like
the
to see
list.
it moved up that list somewhere, because it really sticks in my craw that our American Legion post goes to Sunnydale to have a memorial service. And we could have it right here in our own cemetery. And, there's no flag, no nothing up there, except the flags we put on those veterans.
Yep. And so if you do recall, so this year, which we're in 25, is when we're going to be beginning the master planning of the cemetery. So you don't just go stick a flag in the middle of nowhere without any strategic planning around it. So we've been getting quotes from engineers and firms. I just met with another one last week with BHC that they're providing a quote as well. Some of them are substantially more than I thought. And so we're trying to negotiate some of those. So I have 2 quotes right now for cemetery master plans, and then hoping to have a third one, and then we'll get that process started this year in 25, and then see, of course, with meeting with the Outdoor Spaces board, it'll take some time to navigate their wants and needs. And so then hopefully then in that 27 years when we can really have something in the budget for that beautification to actually execute some sections of that master plan. Well, right now, we don't know what we're aiming for. We don't know if we need $10,000, $20,000, $100,000, $40,000. You don't know.
I guess
So
that's
you
what
really
I'm-
have to come up with a plan first and then figure out and take small bites out of that plan, because you can't do it all at once when it comes up to it. So you did pass and approve to come up with that plan this year, Mayor, just so you know.
I understand, we've had that cemetery for 10 years or more. And there's nothing been done to it except the sign over the gates. So it's nice to have a plan. If people want to donate to that plan, they've got something to see. If they want to get some extra money, or somebody wills money for the cemetery, we got a place to put it, not in our general fund or parks. But you know what I'm saying? We'll get that goal faster if we have something to go for. So that's my 2 bits. Dale.
Back on your future budget items, have you looked into, and I don't know if Mr. Miller or Mr. Clark have looked into it, grants for the play equipment?
We would, when we start searching that, yeah, then we will
Okay.
definitely see
I
what's
just-
out there and available and what we would possibly qualify for.
Okay, just, that's
It's
it.
a big chunk of money and they're out there, they're
Right.
available, we're gonna shoot for them.
Sounds good.
Just FYI, there's a couple of grants that Brett and I have come across, but they'll give us $25,000, but we got to cut them up to $250,000.
That's not a good grant.
That's not a good grant. I mean, that's the push,
That's not a good,
So-
good grant.
and they want all the advertisement and all the credit. So,
I'm more looking at like, we pay 25,000.
but that's
They
kind
do
of what,
250.
we brought that to their attention.
Yeah.
Yeah, and there's certain ones that you can do for certain surfaces, depending upon if you do recycling surfaces or board
Right.
place or that stuff. A lot of those grants right now are frozen. When it comes to that side of the world, the infrastructure funds have not been, but those other like parks and,
Right.
and anything to do with forestry and right now kind of put the brakes on. So,
All right.
but
Just-
we'll continue to
As
look.
long as it's on the radar, that's all I was asking.
Any other questions, comments?
That's 3 minutes.
3 minutes, but we only got Lloyd.
Thank you.
Hurry, Lloyd.
So I don't have a complete group photo. I think about the only time of the year that we can all get together because we work different shifts is Fall Fest Parade. So I don't have any updated. I've done them throughout the year. But moving along quickly because I know I'm on a timeline. Our increase for the police department, 35,000, little or almost 36,000, mostly made up of salaries and benefits, as Brent said. We're budgeting in the police department anyway for 4% in raises. There are some minor operational. The contractuals, Dale, that's going to be mostly insurance. I think Clint discovered this year, unfortunately, that some of our liability insurance that we were covering or using, that the police department has to carry, was being dispersed throughout all the departments, which I like. But he made that discovery, and now that has increased in the police department. So it's coming out of where it probably should have been coming out of all along. We have made some differences or some cuts, as you can see, in commodities and outlay. Commodities mostly going to be fuel, as we anticipate fuel prices to go down. And I'll jump ahead 2 slides. I left this in to show, because I say it doesn't look like we're cutting as much, but we are holding back. If you count up the positions that council has approved or allotted, there should be 21 certified positions, including myself, and then the 2 non-certified or the 2 civilian positions. We are holding back and not funding that. We're not funded this year, and we're holding back again next year. So again, we'll be running a little short on officers. And so it's part of how we're trying to keep hours down with the PD side. I know those numbers look big. We're the biggest department in the city. So, of course, salaries are going to be the biggest chunk of that. Fire department, again, this is, I've got less employees on my fire side, full-time employees. But the 30,000, again, is mostly going to be salaries. And here, we're looking at 8% increase because as Brent was looking through and comparing to some of the other cities and other departments, we've really fallen behind on that side. And so we're trying to get us up and become a little more comparable to some of the other departments out there. But we were able to make cuts in other areas there, as you can see, under contractuals, commodities. Well, the outlay, that's an increase. And again, that one's bringing back for this year. We had taken out our equipment fund. It's $20,000. The equipment fund is what purchases our bunker gear. Bunker gear is important. We need to buy some. We need to be buying bunker gear every year. We've I've instructed my guys on the fire side to come up with a list and a replacement list so that we can stay on top of that and not having to do a bunch of year, because it adds a set for one firefighter is probably around $5,000. When you look at boots, helmets, coats, pants, gloves, so it's not cheap. So that covers, hopefully in 3 minutes, most of what I have to say. What else? Do you have any questions?
How many staff are you short on police officers?
Currently, not what's allocated, but as far as what's funded, I need 2 more. I have one that just graduated the academy a week and a half ago. I've got another one graduating in a week and a half. I'm still looking for 10.
So to piggyback off of that, you need 2 more, not including, like, how many are you not funding for next year?
No, 2 more, not including that. Then we will be not funding 3.
Okay.
And I'm planning to leave patrol open, 2 patrol positions and 1 SRO position.
Okay.
We're going to have an SRO at high school and middle school. And elementary open. And then leave 2 street positions.
What would your increase be if you only left 2 open? Would that be like an 80?
Okay, plant question, maybe.
Well, you can answer the question later.
Probably 7. With benefits.
It really depends upon what ranking, like certified.
I'm just thinking an entry level.
Entry level. I mean, total package, everything. I mean, you'd be safe to say 80.
I just curious. Good job getting done in
Any
a
other
short
questions?
time.
Okay, thank you, Lloyd.
Well, all right. Well, with the time that we have, our recommendation is that we can go ahead and we can amend the agenda for the city council meeting to add this to the new business item. So then we can have a brief recess, and then we can have this on our actual 7 o'clock meeting agenda. So we'll just have to, Mayor, if you want to amend the agenda before you approve it for the 7 o'clock meeting, and we can add the continuation of the budget discussion.
Like item C, new business. So if we need a motion.
You can, nope, not right now. You just motion to adjourn from the workshop now, and then we will pick that back up at 7 o'clock.
Motion to adjourn budget workshop.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to close the budget workshop. Any further questions and concerns? All in favor of the motion, signify by raising your right hand. All opposed, same sign. Motion carried.